Who would walk into Chanel to drop $8,000 on an at this point outdated Maxi flat? Hi guys, my name is G.P.S. and welcome back to my channel. If you closely follow the news of the luxury world, I'm sure by now you have heard that some of the largest luxury fashion houses announced that they'll be increasing their prices globally, including Chanel and Louis Vuitton. But in case this is new information to you, let me catch you up pretty quick. Chanel and Louis Vuitton announced last week that they'll be increasing their prices due to the increased cost of raw materials, which, as you can imagine, enraged a large group of customers who felt that the timing of this price adjustment was just simply insensitive. I was personally quite shocked myself because I was naive enough to think that a brand like Chanel, who already has sales either annually or biannually, is going to be heavily discounting their seasonal pieces just to get rid of them, boost sales that they have been missing out on,
and also get rid of things that have been lying around their stores for the past month.
But instead, they decided to take a different approach, and they'll be charging customers for the absence of sales that they have been suffering from for the past month. And there are a couple of theories of why this price adjustment might be happening now. Theory number one is, I think, the one that was most widely publicized, and it's that Chanel is increasing their pricing due to the increased cost of raw materials, which I'm not doubting that it's true, but if it is, it means that we'll be seeing price increases across the board from every single luxury house out there, or at least the majority of them, because the suppliers that give Chanel their leathers are likely the same ones who provide leathers to Dior and Fendi and Bottega and all the luxury brands out there. So if that statement again is true, it means that we'll be seeing a lot more price increases from other luxury houses as well. Theory number two is that these brands, obviously mainly Chanel, is cutting their losses and they're charging customers for the absence of sales that they have been experiencing for the past month. Considering that they're not a brand that really focuses on online shopping, they do have a website where you can buy, I think, cosmetics and glasses, but that's pretty much it. So they did miss out on a good chunk of money that they could have gained by selling their pieces online, which of course they don't do. But personally, I believe that they are preparing for this revenge buy that they predict is going to happen once all their stores reopen and the situation will improve. And there have been precedents for this in countries where the situation got better and it was safe for stores to reopen, that a group of customers who had job security, they didn't have to worry about losing their jobs, basically went crazy at their stores because they simply missed shopping. So I think they're thinking that clients are going to be going into their stores, picking up things left and right whenever they reopen. Or even if they don't predict that, perhaps they could use this as a scare tactic and tell their customers who might have had a piece on their wish list for the past years, maybe a Chanel classic flap, and tell them that if you don't come in to get it now, if you come back next week, it's going to be 20 or 30% more expensive, which I think could convince a lot of customers, especially the ones who have been after a bag for a long period of time. But why are we talking about this? Well, it's confirmed that pricing in the US will increase as well. We do not have the updated prices just yet. I think it should be coming out in the next week or so, but it is confirmed that it will be happening. So I thought that in case this whole price adjustment fiasco and the timing of it left a bad taste in your mouth, perhaps you do not want to support Chanel in the near future, I would give you some better and more reasonably priced alternatives to some of their classic styles. So I picked 4 classic pieces from Chanel that were subject to a drastic price increase in Europe, and that leads me to believe that something similar is going to happen to them in the US as well. So if you want to hear about some great alternatives to some of the most classic styles from Chanel, then please keep on watching. So the first piece that I want to tell you guys about was the wallet on the chain, which was increased by 9.3% in Europe, which in my opinion is just absolutely crazy. And I got my numbers from a blog post from Purse blog that I'm going to link down below. They basically compiled this chart that is very comprehensive. They included every single piece that will be increased or that was subject to increase in Europe. And if you want to have a more in-depth look, then you can have a look there. I'll make sure to link it down below. But if you guys watched my Chanel shopping video, then you know my feelings about the wallet on the chain. I thought for the longest time that it was a great entry-level bag because the first time I looked at it a couple of years ago, I think it was just under $1,000, which I always thought was a great price. But last time I looked, the wallet on the chain was nearly $3,000.
$3,000?
Which in my opinion is just absolutely ridiculous. The wallet on the chain is at this point almost as expensive as a mini flap from Chanel, which just makes no sense to me. And for $3,000, you can definitely buy much more comprehensive and much more elegant bags than just a wallet on the chain. But if the 9.3%, nearly 10% increase happens in the US as well, it will mean that the price of the wallet on the chain is going to be over $3,000. Even if you're buying an entry-level bag from Chanel, I still wouldn't recommend that you get the wallet on the chain. But in case if you're looking for a good alternative, I would recommend that you look at the Lady Dior pouch, which has a very similar feel and look to it. But I do find it to be a little better than the wallet on the chain because the Lady Dior pouch comes with these actually additional leather pouches that you can remove from the bag. So you can either use it as a clutch bag or as a crossbody bag, or you can truly use it as a wallet because you can put these pouches in there that help the bag to be more organized. It has car slots, so you can really customize it for what you want to use it for. And the pricing is way better on the Lady Dior. I think it's at about $1,600 or $1,650 depending on what leather you choose. But it comes in a couple of different colors and leathers, so it really is, I feel, a similar look that is much more reasonably priced. But in case you have the money saved up to drop $3,000 on a Chanel wallet on the chain, I would actually recommend that you look at the KYLIE wallet on the chain from Hermes. They have recently just released a new version of their classic KYLIE wallet that comes with a shoulder strap. I'll link my video where I talk about that up here. And it's a great piece that you can either wear as a crossbody bag, you can wear it as a clutch. It's a true showstopper that I think you would be able to use forever. It's never going to go out of style. Bag number 2 that was the most insane to me is the Chanel Classic Square, which is being increased by 25% in Europe. So again, I assume it will be subject to a similar increase in the US as well. And personally, a 25% increase is quite drastic, especially if it's only about the raw materials. It just makes no sense that the price would fluctuate that much. So in case you've had your eye on the Classic Square, I would recommend that you look at the Mini Lady Dior, which actually has quite a similar shape and feel to it. It's equally elegant and timeless. And I actually find it to be a little bit more multifaceted because it does come with top handles as well as a chain. And I think you can also buy it with a thicker leather strap depending on which look you prefer. So I think you're a little bit more limited when it comes to the square bag from Chanel because it really only comes with the chain. So you can either put it crossbody or you can double the chain and you can put it under one arm. But with the Lady Dior bag, you can really style it in whatever way you want to. So I would highly recommend that you look at it. And if you're looking for something that's a little bit more youthful, if you always thought that Lady Dior was a little bit too conservative for your liking, now they also have more kind of fun versions of it where it's all monochromatic. The hardware is the same color as the leather. There are ones that are all a matte finish. So I would really recommend that you look at the Mini Lady Dior because it is a piece that has really stood the test of time. We have 2 more bags left, and the next one that I'm going to talk about was really a struggle for me to find an alternative to. And the bag that I'm talking about is the small flap, which was increased by 20.9% in Europe. And if they use a similar metric in the US, I think that bag will end up being about $4,000, which to me is just crazy to spend $4,000 on a small Chanel bag. At the same time, it is a beautiful piece that I think would be in your collection forever if you take good care of it, and it would never really go out of style. But again, there are alternatives. There are pieces that are equally elegant and timeless. So I would either recommend that you look at the Lady Dior, which comes in different sizes, or perhaps you could have a look at the Petite Malle from Louis Vuitton, which is definitely a little bit more edgy. But at the same time, it really goes with any outfit depending on how you style it. And you get a little bit more bang for your buck when it comes to the Petite Malle because the craftsmanship on that particular piece is truly stunning. I mean, you cannot take that away from it, that it's just so perfectly done. It's rooted in the heritage of the company. Obviously, it was inspired by the heritage trunks that Louis Vuitton used to make. So for me, a Petite Malle is just as classy and elegant as a Chanel small flap. You can basically take it from day to night and you can style it in whatever way you want to. It's never going to look out of place. However, it's a little bit more expensive. I think the Petite Malle is about $5,000, $5,500, depending on what material you choose. But at the same time, I think that price is justified because you really get a really structured, well put together, heavy duty piece from a luxury house. And last but not least, the bag that I think shocked most people was the Chanel Maxi flap, which was increased by 14.5% in Europe. And if the US uses a similar metric, that bag will end up being over $8,000.
Over $8,000.
Which to me is just insane, considering that the perception of that bag is not quite where the price is at. It's just not a bag that I think most people are after at this point. It's just not on trend. And also at the same time, the Maxi flap I think kind of lost its charm. It used to be a bag that it really wasn't it bag that everyone was after. They were hard to come by. Whereas now, I don't think many people would be after a Maxi flap, especially for that price. And I wouldn't really recommend for anyone to pick up that bag. And I did hear a lot of people say that, why would you go into Chanel and drop $8,000 on a Maxi flap when you could just go to Hermes and buy a Birkin for the same amount of money? Well, not quite. If you are interested in the true price of a Birkin, I'm going to link my video up here about that topic. But even if you could walk into Hermes and just pick up a bag, it perhaps would not be the Birkin. Maybe if you wanted to buy a comparable bag to the Chanel Maxi flap, it could be a Constance, maybe a Constance 24 that is the larger size and could be comparable to the Maxi flap. But even a Constance 24 is harder to come by than a Chanel piece, and it's going to set you back about $10,000 to $12,000 depending on the leather that you get it in. But it could definitely be a similar feel and look to the Maxi flap, so it is definitely something that you can look into. Or a bag that actually came to mind from Louis Vuitton is the Capucine in PM size. And I know they are quite different in terms of look, but I think they have a very similar feel to them. They're both very elegant, timeless, classic, and I do think that the Capucine has a similar styling appearance to the Chanel Maxi flap, and it's definitely much more reasonably priced than the Chanel Maxi. I think the Capucine starts at about $5,000. It comes in a variety of leathers, colors, and sizes. But I chose the PM because it is one that comes with a top handle as well as a shoulder strap. And I think it's just a great multifaceted bag that can go with any outfit. You can dress it up or dress it down. For some reason, I always thought that the Capucine was a little bit overpriced for what it is. But if I compare it to a Maxi flap, which might end up costing over $8,000, in comparison to that, it's a great buy. And this is it, guys. This completes my video on the Chanel price increase and my recommendations for better alternatives in case you do not want to spend your money on Chanel. If you have any questions to me, you can always find me in the comment section down below. And if you enjoyed this video, then please make sure to give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. And as always, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you being here and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.